Hi, guys. Welcome back to session six of our Tribal Entrepreneurship Development Program. If you have not checked in, check-in is up there. I think we also shared the link in chat. If we have not yet, we will very shortly. I also need the clicker, which is probably over here. That would be helpful. Thank you. Okay. Clicker is not clicking. Thank you. So today we are doing pitch decks 101 with Maggie, who on average sees, I think it's over 200 a year, right? Over 2,000 in total, probably now pitch decks. So, or more, probably more, definitely more. So this is the perfect person to do the breakdown for you and tell you what makes a good pitch deck and kind of how to get to where you need to be for your pitch deck. Before I introduce her though, or before I give her the mic, this is our program schedule. So today's pitch decks 101. Next Monday is going to be pricing strategy, which we have a guest speaker for. Sales and financials next Wednesday. Pitch practice and feedback the following Monday. And then pitch practice office hours, which is optional, which Maggie will also be a part of. And trust me, after today, you're going to want to join that, which is on Wednesday, the 28th. And I will pass it on to Maggie now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, well, it's nice to see you again. 3 people who are here. And Melody, who's online. Anybody else join yet? Okay. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you identify with one specific tribe? Is that something that you actually have to like register and make really official? Or do you just know what your heritage is?
And then another tribe that you have to choose the one. So if you have a parent from that tribe, then.
Oh, okay. And so what tribe are you from?
From the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. It's located in Central Oregon, base of Mount Hood. We're about 60 miles north of Bend.
Oh, that sounds, I know Bend. That sounds beautiful. And how about you?
Should be passing around the mic.
Oh.
I'm Raramuri from the Sierra Tarahumara in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So does the US recognize tribes that are from Mexico?
I don't know. I'm not formally, I was just born and raised there, and I'm half. And so, but I've never formally entered or engaged with any organization here in Las Vegas. So I'm not sure if we have like an active
So I'm
thing
wondering if there are some benefits that you might be missing out on because you're not registered
likely
with a tribe. Okay, so something to look into.
Yeah.
And how about you?
I'm Smoke Western Shoshone, and that's based out of just like northern Nevada, up by Wells.
Up by Wells.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought so. There's a Shoshone Paiute tribe in Fallon.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of different Shoshone tribes, and like it's specifically in my like federally recognized tribe, there's 4 different bands, so that even makes it more complicated.
All right, and so when they say band, what does that mean?
That like we're under one umbrella when it comes to the federal government, but like we have 4 different reservations across Nevada.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And each one has like their own tribal council.
Together so that you are stronger and able to.
I assume so, but we still have like our like separate numbers when it comes to each band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, because I know there's like a band of Tomoke that's near Lamoille Canyon, near Elko, that area.
Yeah, Elko. That's like a whole, probably the same tribe if it's Tomoke.
Oh, okay.
My aunt lives there actually.
Okay, because when I looked up Tomoke, there were like 10 different groups under the Tomoke band. It's like it's very confusing to a white girl. Oh.
Did you want to, I'm so sorry, I didn't get the mic over to you in time. Did you want to share your preferences?
Sure, I'm from the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. We're located at the base of Mount Hood. It's approximately 60 miles north of Bend, Oregon.
And are there warm springs there? Is that where your people
actually,
gather?
There are warm springs there, yes. Of course, it was named by the Army, and the actual name of the different tribes are Wasco, Warm Springs, and Paiute because it is confederated.
Okay. And Paiute is a huge area. It goes all the way into, does it go all the way to Wyoming? I know it goes into Utah.
It's really interesting how the Paiutes were able to join our reservation, is that they were stationed at a fort in the Dalles, and the Army decided that something had to be done with them, including annihilation. So they walked to the Warm Spring Reservation, where they were joined and beloved, and have been there ever since then, and became a member of the reservation.
Thank you.
That's a sad history. That makes me sad.
Yes, okay, so now we're going to talk about pitch decks, and you should think of pitch decks as a way of telling the story of your business. And so there are certain topics that you should cover, and this basic deck covers like an 8 to a 10-minute pitch. If your pitch is 4 minutes or shorter, you can't cover all of the different topics. So you should only be covering the problem, the solution, and maybe a little bit about the market size, but you can't go into too much detail. So in this deck, I give you some good examples and some poor examples. And we always start with the poor ones. But in general, you want to know who you're presenting to, because you're going to change what you say a little bit. If you know that you're presenting to investors who are accredited, because you can actually make a request for an investment. If you are not talking to accredited investors, you really can't do that. You can say that you are raising funds, but you can't go into the details. And if you're talking to kindergartners, telling them about your business, you're going to tell them in a different way than if you were talking to a group of adults in a business setting. So you should just know who your audience is before you begin and tailor your presentation to that audience. We have 6 to 8 topics that we're going to cover, and it's best if you tell a story that becomes memorable. And the more that you practice presenting, the easier it gets. For your deck, if you're having slides, then it's just one idea per slide. With a large font, you don't want to put a lot of words on there. When you're presenting, you are the star of the show. The slides are only meant to enhance or reinforce what you're saying. So we don't want to put too much up there, because as soon as people start reading, they stop listening. There's words playing in their head, and they can read faster than you can speak. So they'll read it, be done with it, and then their mind will wander. So there's kind of an art to doing a deck that goes with a live presentation. So these are the 8 topics that we're going to cover in a pitch that is 6 to 10 minutes long. That nebulous area between 4 minutes and 6 minutes, you may be able to cover everything and you may not. So we're going to start with the problem or pain point. And again, this can be a story. It can be how you discovered what the problem is that you are solving. And then your solution. And engineers love to spend 4 minutes on the solution because they've created it and they're technical and they love it. But we don't need to hear 4 minutes about the solution. We just need to be able to understand how you're going about solving the problem. The market opportunity is the area of the market that you're entering with your product or service. And it tells investors how big the opportunity can be. If you're not speaking to investors, it can be a point of interest, but you don't need to spend a lot of time on it. And then your business model is, how do you make money? Who are you selling to? And how do you get your product to them? And what do they pay? If you have a physical product that has ingredients that go into it, then you can talk about how much it costs you to make it versus how much you're selling it for. Competition. Everybody should be interested in your competition. Who are you going up against? Is it McDonald's? Is it Facebook? Or is it the bar across the street? Okay, and then traction is sales. How much sales do you have? If you have made progress in developing your product or getting a patent or got a letter of intent from somebody, that's still not traction, but they are milestones. And so you can talk about your progress towards your goal, but I wouldn't call it traction. And then team. Team can be the most important thing in your success. If you mesh well with your partner, if you mesh well with the people that you hire and you're all pulling in the same direction, you have the same vision, then that you have a greater chance of success than if you are working with somebody and you constantly are fighting about things, even little detail things. That's not a great environment for success. And then your ask, and there should always be an ask. It doesn't necessarily have to be an investment ask. If you're presenting to a group of business people, you can ask for references. You can ask for a specific person. I need to find somebody who works for the school district. Or as you did, I need to find elected officials at the city of Las Vegas. You have an ask, and it doesn't have to be money. You could be asking for a better source. I need a better source for white turquoise. Who do you know? Okay, you just put it out there because people know other people. And if it's a simple enough ask, then they can talk to their friends about it as well. So the problem, we want to introduce what we're doing with the problem. What was the aha moment? What caused us to go ahead and start this venture that's going to take 8 to 10 years and 90 hours a week? It doesn't have to be that bad. So on the problem, it should be an easily relatable and identifiable problem. If you have to spend 3 minutes explaining the problem, it may not be a problem for most people. That's why it's important to go out and do our customer discovery so we can figure out whether it's a problem we're solving. You only have to spend a minute on it because if it's an obvious problem, it doesn't take a lot of time. And you can use pictures as a demonstration. So here is a poor example. All right. 1 in 2 people have cancer in their lifetime. Okay, that is a problem. Genetic testing is the standard of care for diagnosis and treatment. Okay, but I could be telling you that. It doesn't necessarily need to be up there on the slide. There's a limitation. Under 1% of cancer mutations are known. And so the solution is this tool that rapidly creates a gene atlas of mutations. And then we have this lovely image, and then we have gene analysis maps will revolutionize genetic testing, drug development, and healthcare. Again, somebody reading this is going to understand it, that 1 in 2 people will get cancer, but all this other gobbledygook, they may not understand. So here is a rework of this slide that's very clear. 1 in 2 people are going to get cancer. Wouldn't you like to know what kind in advance? And that's what their gene testing can tell you. It can tell you which markers you have for different cancers. All right, this one I love. This was an interesting little product. So you get the idea of overheating, and you get that this man has a problem in a certain area. Well, his product was like a donut that you could sit on that was cooling. It had air blowing over it. So it started out great. I don't know how many people are willing to buy that, though. All right, the solution. You can spend up to 2 minutes on the solution, because if it's a novel solution, you're going to have to explain it. And if it's an easily recognizable problem, then you can spend a little bit more time on how your solution is unique and different from what is already available. You can use pictures if you have them of your product. Don't demo it and don't use screenshots. People who make apps are always tempted to put screenshots up there. I saw one with 3 screenshots. You can't tell what's going on the screen. You're just better off telling people how the app works. You know, we set ourselves up as a customer, we put in this input about our preferences, and then voila, it gives us results. Okay, and then you should tell us how your solution is 10 times better than anything else that's out there. So that is what should go on during the solution part. Okay, here we have a screenshot with a picture and lots of little words. And then we have a lot of words on that side. So we live stream from the home while your child is there. Okay, we live stream is what it could say. We live stream. Then in the narration, the person can say, from the home while your child is there, and you're able to find your child in this live stream. There's group chat. Okay, so all of this stuff is more designed for a deck that you would send to somebody instead of giving live. There's a big difference, and you should have a little closet full of different decks to present. Caregivers provide the home and care while we do the rest, everything to get them licensed and accredited. And there's all of this, what is this called? It's a certain kind of soup, acronym soup. Okay, so acronym soups are not very good because most people that you're talking to will not understand what they are. It's very unlikely that you're going to be speaking directly to an investor who knows exactly what all those things mean. And it's even less likely that you'd be speaking to a group of other people who would know what that means unless they're in the same industry. All right, education plan, our educators, okay. So much too much going on here for the solution. Here is a different one. So there's not a ton of words on here. And we know this product, and it's a very simple picture catalog of what the product can do. So this is what it looks like when it's not being used. It has pour over. It has a silicone strainer. You can chill that thing and make cocktails. And then you've got a filter, and you've got the thermal core, and you've got this is the cup. It's a silicone sleeve. So this is just a blowout of what the product does. This guy calls it the outdoor adventure flask. And so we have this nice kind of subtle background of an elevation map, but that's not what it's called. Anybody know what this is called? Okay, can't remember. All right, now we're on the market slide. So you can spend about 1 minute on the market. A lot of people are not going to be interested in your market size other than they may have an aha moment that it's a much bigger market than they thought it was. So you have to do research to find your market. Did we already do TAM, SAM, SOM? Yes, we did. Okay, so there is the total market, then there's our addressable market, and then there's our obtainable market. So these are numbers that you're going to research, except for that last number, which is your projection of sales. So that last number takes even more time than the other two numbers. Okay, so you're going to create a bottom-up obtainable market. That's the one I talked about with research for your accounting and your projection of sales. And you're going to do research on the other two numbers. And we see this a lot on slide decks. If we just get 1/10 of 1% of the total market, we're going to be in the money. And that shows me that you haven't spent the time to understand your market and where you fit into it. And so you're fooling yourself. It's very easy to fool yourself with market information. And we want to know only about the major market, but if you do have other secondary revenue streams that you plan to go for in the future, you can put them on a separate slide because that would be of interest. Okay, so here is a not great example. There's 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 per day. 52% are going to need long-term care. The number of beds that are projected for these two areas. And then we have a chart. It's a very busy chart. It's got a lot of stuff. I don't know what it's telling me. It's telling me what the population is. Ugh. Okay, so I took that slide and I made it a little bit better. 10,000 per day. What do we notice about that? The green on the bluish background, hard to see. You want high contrast. You want people to look at the slide and to be able to perceive it very quickly. And so when you make them have to squint to try to see what it says, that's not great. Okay, so 10,000 baby boomers turning 65, 52% are going to need long-term care, and that's how many beds it'll be. And then this is a little bit of just citation work. All right, I like this slide. It's not perfect, but I like it. Okay, they imply that they're a rocket ship. They're taking off. They're going to have 1.3, there are a total of 1.3 million contractors in the United States. And their sweet spot are the large contractors. There's 15,000 of them. The contractors with 20 or more employees are 150,000. And the obtainable market is 45 million. Okay, so these are reasonable numbers. And 45 million in a 3 to 5 year period does not seem out of whack. Competition. Okay, we do want to cover the competition. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Kind of the best way to depict it is with a rack up, which is a matrix. You should be thorough in your research, and you want to use the biggest competitors that you can find, because people will take their phones out of their pockets and they will kind of describe what you're doing, and whoever comes up had better be on your competitor side. And if you're going to refer to pricing, you should check it before each time you present it to make sure that it's still accurate. And you should be checking it anyway. If you're competing in a very competitive space, you'll probably know or send shoppers to find out what they're charging for stuff. Now, if your stuff is very unique because you're an artist, you don't have to worry about it as much, but you don't want to be so far out of whack with what the going rate is for these things. All right, and you're only going to spend about a minute on these things. This was an actual slide. Who is our competition? Professional sports teams such as the NBA and NHL. College sports leagues such as the NCAA division teams. Okay, this doesn't really describe competitors very well. I believe that this was a company that wanted to create a whole new sport. They wanted to create samurai fighting in the United States as a league sport. This is the same company that we saw before with the outdoor adventure flask. And this is a regular rack up where they've got the names of their competitors across the top. And one of the subtle things that they do here is that the X's are a lighter shade. They don't stand out as much as the yes for things. So when you're creating your rack up, you either want to be the first column or the last column. I usually expect to see them in the first column. It kind of throws me off when they put themselves at the end, because you should have more features than the rest of the competitors. Okay, and then he has the suggested price down at the bottom. So this is one of the ones where you really do have to be careful about checking your pricing. Again, he used the elevation map, but I still don't think that's what it's called. All right, and then here is another one, although I have to say that the titles up on the top against the gray background are very hard to see. But I do happen to know that this company are using the truck base of a Tacoma to make a camping type thing that can go into more remote places than some of these bigger campers. And so that is one of the things that they track, that it's got unlimited 4x4 capability, and its size is smaller, so it can get into more remote areas than some of the bigger ones over there. All right, and it has good fuel economy, which a lot of the heavier, bigger models don't have. And so I thought this was a nice depiction. Even the check marks on the other ones that do have the same things are smaller than the check marks for their product. They have since raised their prices. They couldn't get it done for that amount. Your business model. This is one of the most important slides in your deck if you are talking to investors or talking to people that you want to gain support. They need to understand how you're selling, who you're selling to, and what they're paying. So what are you selling? How do you make money? How are you selling it? How are you reaching? And you can spend 1 to 1.5 minutes because it should be a fairly simple thing to explain. All right, here's an example. This was a person who had a business where he wanted to share information with people who were going to conventions. And so it was kind of a complex thing where you had to sign up on his website, and then he was going to share out the information with everybody. He hadn't really done a lot of consideration of privacy type things. So his business model, and this is really just a description of who his customers and users are. It doesn't really explain how he's making money. Two revenue streams, a portion of ticket sales for a convention and selling targeted advertising. Now, targeted advertising, when it comes to apps and it comes to a lot of membership type things, it will make you money, but it's also one of the hardest revenue streams to get. You have to spend a tremendous amount of time because you need users to sell to advertisers, and the users don't come easily, and so it's hard to sell advertising. So you're almost better off with a value proposition that appeals to your users first, so you can build up that base before you try to go out and get advertising revenue. This is another very complicated revenue slide. I don't even want to read it. There's just too many words. Car dealerships, resellers. I don't remember what this company did. Their service is going to encompass all the other services of selling the used items. They won't be our direct competitor since they're more interested in bringing web traffic to their website. Still don't know from this what they're doing. Posting, oh, apparently they're reselling stuff. And then there's this, and we're also doing that, and we're going to do that. And that's what it's going to cost. And there's your competitors. Yeah, very, very busy. Right, here's a much simpler model, and the mistake up there is mine. Okay, when I imported it, I didn't look to see that that looked nice. They have an app. They're going to charge individuals $19 a year, and businesses, they're going to charge $29 to $1 million a year. Okay, that's a huge spread. Your head's spinning over there, Andrew. Why is it so different? I think it's going to be different depending on how much of this GDPR and the other compliance things they have to get involved in, because that does increase their expense. All right, again, this one is hard to see, right? It's got red on gray, not the best color combination we want. Higher contrast. The white against the gray is easy to see. So they just listed out what their wholesale price was for small and large. So they're going to sell it for $379. The small one's going to retail for, they're selling it to wholesalers for $429. And they're selling the larger model for $549. And if they're going direct to consumer, it's costing them actually $100 to $300. And they're going to charge either $599 or $779 retail. I don't remember actually, but it was easy to understand when I first saw it. All right, so traction. Traction, as I said, is revenue. You can have milestones or progress and show that, but you don't want to spend a ton of time on that, because until you're able to actually start selling customers, do you really have a business? I mean, you're working in it, but you don't have a business until you start selling stuff. Spend just 1 minute on your goals, your traction, your actual sales. If you have a nice record of sales, it's very easy to perceive it quickly. So you can show growth month over month or year over year if you've been in business that long. And you can tell us about CAC and LTV. So CAC is the cost to acquire a customer. So if you are advertising on social media, you know what you're spending, and you should know by your campaign how many customers you're generating from that spend. And so you can figure out what the cost is to acquire the customer. Lifetime value takes a little bit of time to understand. If you just got your customers and they're still buying from you in 2 or 3 months, then you know that the lifetime value is more than 3 months. But when you start having churn, and that's when your customers drop off, don't renew or don't repurchase, then you'll be able to figure out what the average lifetime value is of your customer. So if you have a very sticky application where people are using it every day, then your lifetime value might be quite a long time. And if you, well, let's talk about, can't remember what the bad example is. When we get to the good example. Oh, this is the good example. Okay, so this gal has a business. It's a subscription business, and she's sending underwear to people on a subscription basis. They get to choose whether it's monthly or quarterly, or half yearly or annually. And she found a niche in larger size women who don't have a lot of sexy options. And so she started making sexy options for them. So she's served 1,900 customers in the past year. And she knows that 80% make a second purchase within 3 months. So they don't have to be on subscription. But if they make a second purchase within 3 months, then the next offer they get is to have a subscription where it's coming quarterly. So they don't have to think about it. So she had some nice sales over time. Team. Okay, if you have more than 4 team members, you should really only be including the founders, the ones who are working in it every day and setting the direction for the company. You should have pictures of your founders so that they become real to the people who are watching. And you should try to be answering why us? Why is this team going to be successful in penetrating this market and making the company a success? And you can do that with bullet points or with logos from past companies, or if you went to a fancy school, you can put that logo in there too. So you don't have to spend a lot of time on the team, as long as it looks nice and has some real information on it. And if you've had an exit before, you're talking to investors. Investors love founders who have started a company, grown it, and had an exit, whether that means it went to initial public offering or if it was acquired by another company. So here is a poor example. She did put her name up there, but the rest of this stuff, that's the only thing that I blocked out, and the amounts of money over here. And then she used her app developers. So she was a person who had an idea for an application, but was not a coder and was not able to develop the product herself. And so she put down her developers as part of the team. I'm always concerned when somebody has an idea for an app, and they may have really good reason for coming up with that app, but they haven't gone out to find a technical co-founder, somebody who can iterate and do the code and will be dedicated to doing that. Because when you have an app developer team like this, you're just another customer in the queue that you get to when they're ready for it. So if you have a technical product, I would suggest you find a technical co-founder. All right, this team, I asked them twice to put their last names in. And I asked them to tell me what they've done with whom. So he did actually put Apple and Philips. Those are well-recognized names. And it gives me a little bit about what they've done. She will lead market planning, business strategies, and oversee operational. Okay, we don't really know where she's worked, so we're a little worried about that. They look like they could be brother and sister, which is not bad, but if she doesn't have you know, some business experience, then I would worry a little bit about that. All right, this is one of my favorite team slides ever. And I can't even tell you why it appeals to me so much. One guy is in Illinois, one guy is here in Vegas. They took a picture together. They look like nice guys. And then this guy is a PhD in mechanical engineering. He's been a senior engineer at Caterpillar. He specialized in airflow and fan acoustics. This company makes snooze, which is a noise machine to help you sleep. So that all made sense. And then Matthew over here, he's done online marketing. He was a marketing director at Zappos. They had a big exit, and he's definitely not a doctor. So this is the brainiac, and this is the funny guy. So I just like that slide. All right, so for the ask, again, I mentioned earlier, if you're asking for an investment and you're not speaking to accredited investors, you can get into trouble. And if you have already gotten a lead investor, they can get into trouble too if they know that you're out there talking to non-accredited investors with the deal. So everybody has to be really careful about that. You can say that you're raising, but you can't give any details. And then people who are accredited investors can come to you privately, and then you have the official conversation. If you are asking for investment and you are talking to accredited investors, you should be describing the vehicle and the terms and any discounts and evaluation cap. Those are all technical terms, but the whole thing should be on the slide. You shouldn't leave people guessing. And then you can list the use of funds. So if you give me $500,000, I'm going to spend $300,000 on research and development, $100,000 on marketing, $20,000 on legal expenses for patents, and the rest, I can't remember what I'm up to, will be spent on general administration and, you know, keeping the lights on, operations. All right, so this was an ask slide in one that I saw, and you have to read all that stuff when you get to, we're seeking $400,000, and it's going to cover all expenses for initial startup. So that's not specific enough. You have to show that you know what you need to get your business going, or you know what you need to get to the next milestone. They may even ask you, all right, well, how much runway does this give you? If you are already generating a little bit of money and you just need this investment so that you can pour the gas on the marketing engine, then that's going to be more appealing than not having a plan for how that money is going to move the business forward. All right, this one wants $275K. He's got $245 for salaries, $20 for marketing, $5,000 for employee benefits, and $5,000 for working capital. And that is a very specific use of funds. It's a little bit problematic in that they want to spend $250,000 on employees, the $245 plus the $5,000 for benefits. So you are paying for them to just be working in the business. Is that going to move the business forward? It might. You would have to ask to learn about that. But usually early on, investors are not interested in having a lot of money going towards salaries. They would rather have it going towards things that are going to move the product or move the needle in terms of sales. So oftentimes that's ad spend. All right, so this is very scientific. This was a fella, as I recall, it was around the COVID time, and he had some sort of product that would sterilize the air. I think you could not be in the room when it was happening, but you could enter a short while later. So they were looking for $300,000 to start and continue to sell the device in Nevada and all 49 other states. Okay, so big vision, not very specific. And you don't really know what he's spending that money on. So not a really good use of funds, and it doesn't really explain how the deal is going to work either. All right. So this person was seeking $500,000 for 12%. Okay, so we're understanding the deal a little bit better. They're going to use equity or preferred stock, and their use of funds is in this chart over here. It's not a great chart. It has dark text and it has light text. And you can see how on a screen like this, which is a nice large screen, that the projectors don't really show contrasting colors very well. So you have to plan for that. So this, by saying, okay, there's this blue color, it must be that one. Here's the purple color here. So you're kind of guessing what the percentages are for the different spending categories. And staffing, again, is the biggest one. And so is that paying for new staff that are going to move the needle forward with research and project development, or is that paying for existing staff? So those are the kinds of questions you need to ask as an investor. And then they have an exit strategy. They want to be acquired by a large safety company within 5 years. So that doesn't need to be on the slide. The objective of the pitch deck is to get the next meeting. So your objective could also be just to talk about your company and see if there are people who can help you with it. But you don't have to tell them everything in the first meeting. And the exit strategy is definitely a second meeting type thing. All right, so this is a remake of the last slide. 500K for 12% equity or preferred stock. And then I just remade it so that you can understand better. It would be even better if like the 40% were here and you could say, oh, that's staffing. The yellow one is product development, but you do have the amounts there. So clarity is what we're looking for. Simple, easy to understand slides. All right, this one has a little bit more specific information. Might be too much. We can probably cut that down a little bit. They're looking for 600,000 and they want to accelerate the pipeline through sales and marketing. Okay, so now they have the interest of the investors. 70% of it is going to go for marketing and sales, which includes conferences, advertising, and expanding the sales staff. And content creation and technology enhancement, that's product side. And enhance the technology to add features. And then they have an exit strategy. So they want a Series A round, that's not an exit, in spring of 2021. And then they want to sell the company in 3 to 5 years. So they want to be acquired. I don't remember exactly what this company did, but I think it was a tech company. All right, again, a remake with less information, well, less words on it. 600K, 400K is committed. So they've already found people who are willing to invest 400,000. They just need another 200,000. 70% is going to marketing and sales. 30% is going to technology enhancements. And then we have exit strategy here. That's all you really need to have on the slide, because now I'm going to tell you. We think we could be acquired by A, B, or C company. We think that could happen in 3 to 5 years. We know we need to get our sales level to 200 million, and then we're a prime target for acquisition. So your last slide should be a thank you slide. It should have the company logo. It can have the words thank you on it, and then contact information. This is actually the most important slide in your deck. You spent all this time telling them about your company. You've asked them for help of some sort. If they don't know how to get in touch with you, it was all for naught. You just didn't close the deal with the information they needed to help you. Sometimes people will put reminder of what the ask is at the end. I usually see that in decks where after the ask, they've started talking more about their technology. And so they're just reminding them at the end what the ask was. All right, let's talk about style. So in decks where you're presenting to a large group, less is more. You should have, in general, a logo on each slide, but it shouldn't be too big, just something down in the bottom. Video will invariably fail in your most important meeting, and it's the sound that usually doesn't work. The video may play, and if you had narration that was professionally done, music to set the mood, that's not going to work. So you should always be prepared. I say no video. It's getting easier to make the video play, but you should be prepared to narrate over the video and explain what's happening there, or else just have it so it's so explanatory that you don't need to say anything. You just let it play. It should not be very long. It should be under 2 minutes, your video. Page numbers can be a distraction. Slide to slide transitions are a distraction. Just let's keep focused on the presenter. So we don't want to have, fading checkerboards and things happening between slides. You should only have one idea per slide. So we talked problem, solution, market, business model, team, ask, competition, traction, those things. One idea per slide. Don't put the problem and the solution on the same slide. It's just too overwhelming. If you're going to use a chart, you should probably only use one chart. Don't embed a chart and then another chart. That's very, very confusing. And charts have to be really clean. They have to be like that, where you can easily understand it. So why does this deck have transitions? Just to show how annoying they can be. All righty. Minimal background elements. I think that the elevation map that the guy with the all-day adventure flask was subtle enough and kind of set the tone. I do see people who use Canva likes to have slide templates with a lot of little frilly things around them, and they can be distracting. But I do believe that you can modify so that if you want a little artistic something or other on there, you can choose just one instead of having stuff here and here and here. You can just make it smaller. All right, don't use more than 2 photos per slide unless you're doing a whole collage. And then you're going to talk and people are going to look and they're going to walk around your montage and see different parts of the picture, but it should advance your story. I saw a very effective one where it was for a company that was doing an application for vets, veterinarians. And so they had pictures of dogs and cats and stuff. And so that was kind of fun while they were talking about the need for their software. Okay, this is the same fellow that I told you about in the Tam Sam Psalm talk, Patrick Griffiths. He's the one who can help you with research. That's his email. There you go, take pictures. Okay, and he's really good. And as I said, though, the more specific that you can be about the type of research that you need, the better his information can be for you, more specific. Thank you. That's me. Okay, any questions? Yes, Naz?
No matter.
Well, I can repeat the question.
I know, I started to finish it. Hi there, Maggie. You gave so much great information. I was wondering how many maximum slides should you have, and then how many is like going overboard?
For a 10-minute pitch, and again, our goal is just to get to the next meeting or to be able to have conversations with people about how they can help you. 13 slides is about the max to cover these 8 topics. So with 13 slides, you can take a little bit of time to, show the product or show who you're helping, but you don't need to have much more than that. When I see a deck, any deck that has more than 20 slides, I just roll my eyes because it's usually a scientist who has given me lots of charts and lots of detail on the problem and also how his solution is amazing. But we don't need that much information.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One over.
Yes, Andrew.
Hi, Maggie. Melly Online wants to know, can you share with us a full pitch deck that someone did invest in?
Well, the gal that had the Panty, her company was called Panty Drop, and she had several rounds of investment.
Our Angel NV, we have,
This gal.
we also have their pitches.
We have a sample pitch deck. And so what you can do, it has each slide, it has kind of blocks of the information that you should include. And so it limits you to, I think it's 10 slides, 12 maybe. So that would be just the facts, ma'am. That would be like a very basic, but covers everything that you need. And you can customize it for yourself.
Okay.
And so we'll be sure to include that with the video. And then the snooze guys too, where we only saw their team side, they had venture investment too.
Awesome.
They also got their product into Las Vegas hotels, and I think it was available, because I got one for my daughter, it was available on Amazon.
Wow. Thank you.
Sure, the all-day adventure flask, we actually, FundNV invested in him. It's funny how we say him. It's this company, but Mark Sagonis is, he lives the adventure life. And he came to this because he and his wife were backpacking in South America, and they couldn't find decent coffee. It was horrible coffee. And you think, oh, well, a lot of coffee is grown in South America. but they couldn't in the stores and where they were remote in the upper elevations, they couldn't. So they wanted really to be able to make pour over coffee. And so that's his genesis story. That's how he got into it. But then they also wanted to be able to make cocktails. And that's why it has the thermal core. So you can make a cold cocktail. Yes, so Melly, does that answer your question for companies that have received investment? The first one we saw with the DNA, he's a Las Vegas-based company. He's also received investment, but not with this deck. The deck has gone through many iterations so that it's much better and easier to understand.
So the TAM Samsung, would you recommend that to be under the business model slide?
It's the market side. So
It's the market
it
side.
explains the market size.
Okay. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Get to market. So this one, remember we call this the stacked Venn diagram. So the total addressable market is the largest circle. The achievable market is the middle one, and then your obtainable market, that's the one where you're going to do all your research and project your expenses and revenue. The other two circles are research, and that's where Patrick can help.
I have a question about when we talk about ourselves and like our backgrounds. Since I'm working on a political product or political like startup, I started a Facebook page and it got a lot of, or like 500,000 impressions and within like a week or two.
Wow.
But it got kind of like radical. This was like years ago. This was a different project.
Oh, okay.
And it got kind of radical and crazy. So it's like, should I include it in like my background? Say like, oh, 500,000 impressions in like 2 weeks. But it got kind of radical and crazy in there. And I don't know if that'll be good for me because the numbers are interesting.
The
or if it'll be
numbers are
bad for me.
interesting, but
It's-
because you're trying to work with political people and make their issues known, where they stand on the different issues.
Yeah.
I think being neutral and not radical is going to serve you better.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to appeal to both sides, right? You
Yeah.
want to be the neutral party that just talks about where do they stand on these issues.
Gotcha.
So like, I think any hint of radicalism is not going to be helpful
Good.
to
Thank you. Thank you. Because it was tempting. I'm like, should I include it? But I don't know.
I don't want to bring attention to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Other questions?
Anybody online?
Nez has another question.
Oh, Nez has a question. Oh, please.
In the process of creating my deck, if I want to get some input before I do a final, is there somewhere I can go for that type of help, or how
Well,
does that
yes,
happen?
if we go all the way back to there, we have office hours, and that's exactly what office hours are for. They're to help you either practice giving your presentation, or if you need help with your deck. So we've got pitch practice and feedback. We've actually got 2 opportunities here. So the pitch practice and feedback, anybody who is online or in the room will have the opportunity to present, to practice. And then the office hours is if you want the one-on-one with either Cara or me or us together, then we can give you specific feedback on either your presentation or on the particular slides.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And one other thing, can I go online somewhere to see people that have done a deck
gosh.
already? Like
There are so many pitch decks that are available online that it will make your head spin and you will be confused about what you should do because there's so much information out there. There is a guy whose YouTube channel I think is called Slide Bean, not Beam, but bean like a fajoli, a green bean. So Slide Bean, and he has some good stuff, but we do have a pitch deck example for you. And so we'll be sure to send that out. Andrew, if we can get that out tomorrow, that'd probably be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
but so much it'll confuse you.
Anybody online? Any questions? Okay, well, I guess that is it for tonight. I know it's a lot of information, but like Maggie said, we're here to help. You have 2 days where you can really get help on honing your pitch and your deck. So,
And that's why we do pitch decks now. It used to be the last thing that we would do, but we're trying to give you more time to work on it so that when it comes time for office hours and practice, you have something to work with.
I'm a free photographer if you want to. Oh, sorry, I'm not on the camera. I'm a free photographer if you want me to take a picture of you for your
Team
about
slide?
your team slide. We can do action shots and everything. I just need you guys to come down in person and I will. Okay, so see you guys on Monday for pricing strategy. Our guest
His
speaker.
Mark Stiving, and this is his business. I think he's written a book. He has a newsletter where he talks about different aspects of pricing, and he is an expert. So Mark Stiving will be down here next Monday.
With snacks.
Well, we always have snacks.
We do always have snacks. Okay, thanks, guys. Everybody online, would love to see some of you guys in person. I have not seen everybody's faces yet. So we'll see you then. Thank you.
And there's new art in the room. So
Oh, yes, there is new art in the room.
yeah, it'll be interesting.
I'll take pictures and post it on Slack. Okay,
Okay, so long.
thank you.